You've probably read the title of this video and you've seen the channel before and you're thinking, oh, he doesn't want to get rid of this car because it's a Citroën and it's an estate and he likes Citroëns and estates. Sort of true. This is actually the last Citroën, should I say no, the last proper estate that Citroën made. So yeah, there is an element of truth to that. In my humble opinion, this is sort of like peak car to me, this time of car manufacturing, the late noughties, early 2010s. Now, some people probably argue that, for example, it's the 90s because cars had evolved, much better built, better quality, less prone to rust, better equipment, but still not too complex in terms of electronics and other things to be an absolute pain to live with, or at least to maintain. Whereas this era of cars are even more evolved, with even more efficient engines and just enough toys, should I say equipment, not toys, things like, you know, Bluetooth, streaming and that sort of thing, cruise control on every car, that sort of thing. That was, by this time, commonplace, well developed, and we didn't have the huge amounts of ridiculous extras that we have these days. But the main premise of this video is that, well, personally, I buy second-hand cars, so I'll probably in 10 years want to buy a car. If I were to get rid of this one, of course, I'd want to buy a car that's on sale now. So why wouldn't I want to buy a car that's on sale now in 10 years time? Now, there are various reasons. Let's go into them. My bête noire is the touchscreen. I've already complained about it in another video, but I just think they're horrible things to have in cars. They're stupid to use, they're not safe to use, they're just crap. But as I said, I'm not going to go into that. And the thing is, they're inevitable. Unless you buy a very basic Super Mini with absolutely no kit, then probably you won't get a touchscreen. But apart from that, if in 10 years I want to buy an estate, I will probably have to have a car with a big fat touchscreen in the middle. And I don't like the prospect of that one little bit. Now, there was a time when car body shapes were very nice and varied. I mean, for example, you could get coupes of different tiers, I suppose, different segments of the market. So Toyota had the Toyota Paseo and the Toyota Celica, both coupes, but both for very different kinds of drivers. Even saloons are going the way of the dodo. For example, Volkswagen are not going to make the next generation Passat as a saloon. Estates, they're on the way out as well. For example, I touched upon the fact that this was the last proper estate that Citroën made. They got the C5X, and it's not really an estate, it's not a saloon, it's sort of a crossover. So yeah, we're becoming limited in that market. For example, look, there's a Peugeot 207 estate. So basically a Super Mini that had an estate version. You had the 206 estate as well. I don't think you got any more, the Renault Clio estate. Then you had a Golf estate for hatchbacks. I remember, don't know why, the Citroën ZX estate, maybe because I'm a Citroën fan. So yeah, they've all gone extinct as well. So why the reason for this lack of variety? Well, the answer is obvious. SUVs, that's all people want these days. If you don't know what they are, SUV stands for ugly vehicle, and they're basically oversized versions of normal vehicles, but they're heavier, less aerodynamic, less fuel efficient, consequently more expensive to buy, more expensive to run, and a waste of space because relative to their footprint, the interior space isn't really very efficient. But for some reason, people want them. People buy them as if there's no tomorrow. And unfortunately, for people who actually like and understand things about cars, we're getting pushed out of the market, so to speak. And I sort of believe that in a few years you're going to want to buy a regular saloon, estate, hatchback, and you're going to have to get some kind of crossover-y nonsense. Ford aren't exactly a small car maker, and even they have bowed to market pressure, and the only car they make that is not an SUV these days is the Mustang, if I'm not mistaken. Mondeo, dead. Fiesta, dead. Focus, dead. I cannot believe that. I mean, if that isn't a harbinger of things to come, I don't know what is. So yeah, Unfortunately, we're going to be stuck with shitty vehicles for a long time. Now, I have a friend who has a 2011 BMW 1 Series. It's capable of streaming Bluetooth phone calls. It's also capable of streaming music via Bluetooth, but it doesn't. Why? Because my friend doesn't pay, I think it's 180 euros per year to BMW. So it's not exactly a new practice, but I do think it's going to get worse. I saw Matt Watson the other day on Carwell, I think, complaining about how Mercedes charge you a subscription fee to have heated seats in your car. You've bought the car is yours, and yet you have to keep paying money to the automaker to access features that in principle you paid for. That doesn't sound fair to me. Now, we're not going to go too far into this because there's a huge debate over whether you buying things is actually you buying the physical object or you're licensing it. Let's try not to get into that, but it does stink a bit, in my humble opinion. Now, I do understand why car makers do this, because as electric vehicles begin to sell more and more, car makers are going to lose out on the revenue that you get from maintenance. So you buy a new car, an internal combustion engine car, while it's within warranty, you have to take it to the dealer to change your oil and filters, otherwise it will lose its warranty. So there is a steady flow of cash coming in even after the vehicle is sold, and probably more cash, because the margins on new cars that automakers earn is very, very slim. And if that cash stops coming in because you buy an electric vehicle, you don't need to change fluids that often, and you don't need to change filters in the engine, and you don't get exhausts dropping off and clutches failing, that sort of thing. Yeah, in principle they're going to be a lot simpler to work on and a lot cheaper as a consequence, but that's revenue that automakers are going to miss out on, so they're trying to make up for it with this ridiculous subscription system. Maybe in the future you're going to be on the motorway, you've still got an internal combustion engine vehicle, you're starting to go fast, you want to select fifth, and it says fifth gear only available with subscription. So you put in your car details, you want to go even faster, and it says sixth gear and motorway speeds only available with premium subscription. And I suspect that the last thing some people will see in case of an accident is airbag not deployed, subscription expired. You heard it here first. I wouldn't put it past automakers for that sort of thing to happen. Now, there's a bit of a grab bag. Electronics is complex and it ties into other things. For example, the subscription thing, that's all enabled by electronics because it's locked away by software. But to keep it simple, there's a lot of unnecessary crap you have in your car that's just software. Tesla springs to mind, like the fart sounds it makes, or in normal cars, ambient lighting, or the way a digital display can change theme. I mean, it's all very glitzy when the car is new. Once the novelty wears off, it's going to be something you paid for and you're not going to use. So there's that. And I don't look forward to having a car with frills like that really make little to no sense. But there's more. Electronics have something else that's a bit of a problem, and that's their repairability. It's not something you can get a spanner and an oily rag and get under your car and fix. No, you're going to be sitting there frustrated with a laptop, wondering why the laptop isn't talking to the car. It's not a prospect I look forward to, because if you've seen the channel, you've seen that I like to repair my own car. It's something that's very satisfying. It gives me a sense of catharsis, actually being able to fix something. And I kind of doubt I'll be able to do it with just invisible tools. It won't make for good content. And finally, electronics have another huge disadvantage, perhaps the one that scares me the most, and that's that they have a certain shelf life. So most modern cars, I don't know if this car that I'm driving is of that ilk, but most modern cars, their electronics are based on flash memory, which itself makes use of a phenomenon called quantum tunneling. I'm not going to get into the details because that would be very boring, and also because I wouldn't know what to say. I don't know the details of it at all. But from what I understood, the electrons die and go to electron heaven and don't come back and the electronics fail. I told you I didn't understand the details of it. But basically that's it. The electrons go and the flash memory just dies, just stops working naturally. So imagine you've got a car that's, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 years old. You've kept it in optimal condition for all those years. You've kept it clean, you've kept it well serviced. It's beautiful. And one day you get in and it just doesn't work for no apparent reason because the electronics died. Now that is a prospect that I really don't look forward to at all. And then think about it, you know, if it's like 20 years in the future, there won't be parts available, nor people who know how to fix it. So yeah, I really want to keep using this car for as long as I can. That's a very quick overview. There are more reasons, but it's mostly like aesthetics and other more subjective things, so I won't go into that. Now, I would like to know what you think. Why or why not you want to hold on to an older car? Tell me in the comments below. I really would like to know. So if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Please check out lovely t-shirts at comfortablecar.club. And I thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video. I bid you farewell. Probably saw that. Fuck! I shot a blood of cars. That's the very first. So, Citroen gone extinct as well.